we did our part. We did our part to save humanity. But we're here on Salient Points number 83 for September 27th, 2022. I'm Carlos Macias, your master of... last week I had to use the same name, Dalan. Master of turtles, I believe. Master of oranges. What is my new name, sir? Please, we've been waiting.
Well, now you can't be master of turtles. You done taken that away. So now you're master of lampshades.
Okay, master of lampshades. Carlos Macias, thank you for joining us this week on Salient Points. We got Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. We missed you, Dalan. We missed you last week. And you know your shenanigans. You know shenanigans out there. You just got a clean bill of health, right? You just got a clean bill of health. You don't have to go into details. You don't need to dox you on the internet or nothing. But it's a good thing to hear, sir, that you're ready to come out and ball with us, right? Don't be scared.
I'm not dying.
Don't be scared. Deo Blas, up in the mid-Bay, not exactly Bay Area, kind of like somewhere up there.
Mid-Bay? Central. It's like Central California now.
Central California. Thank you for joining us, sir. I like how yellow your background is.
I'm actually at my parents' house this time, so this is the first thing. This is my old room. Yeah. From back in the 90s. And it's weird being in here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s. Oh, snaps. Were you a part of that movie that came out with those skateboarders?
You talking about Three Ninjas?
Three Ninjas? No, I'm in the burbs, man.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
There was a lot of ninja stuff like during like mid-90s or something. My favorite one was the one that had like a Game Gear, because like I want a Game Gear with the
Surf Ninjas.
Surf Ninjas.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And obviously if you really had a Game Gear, it would die within like 10 minutes of like that movie. So I don't know how they kept that Game Gear alive throughout their whole adventure.
It was a magical Game Gear. It was magic.
Or they had it plugged in everywhere they went, I guess.
You know what you made me think of? I was watching Rumble in the Bronx, and the kid in the wheelchair had a Game Gear, had no game in it whatsoever, but he was playing it like it was a Nintendo 64. He was going ham on it.
Dalan, it's called acting. Okay.
Magic. It's called magic.
It's called acting, all right. Deo, thank you for joining us. And we also got Luis Mendez. Look, Deo changes it up, and Luis also changes it up. I feel like you're a little bit more comfortable than last week, at least, Luis. You know.
No, you guys do not see what's behind this camera. This is not a setup that is here 100% of the time. This only gets whipped out on Mondays now.
Okay,
so,
hey, but at least
I'm not in at least I'm in the same space every week. So that's
at the very least we can hear you. We can hear you a little bit better. We figured out. As every week we have to figure out some kind of shenanigans. Something is going wrong technically every single week. So all you production people out there, I respect you guys. I respect. What's up, Dale? You're raising your hand over here. Come on.
Yes, I got you on this. Carlos, master of lampshades. Dale, master of mid-bay. And Luis, master of setups. Let's go.
Yeah, right. But that's not even making fun of him, dude. I feel like you're making fun of me, whereas Luis is getting props.
You deserve to get hit up, Carlos, so let's move on.
All right, let's get into it. We did, Deo did put up a question, or he said, hey, if you guys want to comment on the show, you'll get on here, and you will. Please to go to youtube.com, or is it We Got Comms, then YouTube, like, subscribe, comment on there, and we'll probably most likely feature you on here. Last week was a bunch of people, man. I don't know if you listened, Dalen, but it was a whole bunch of like, okay, let's put some in the beginning, let's put some in between, let's put some at the end. But we got one this week on Deo's Twitter. Whiskey Bogard says he asked him, do you have any questions? He said a few. So the first one, I guess, thank you for sending multiple questions out here. Where do you stand on the graphics aren't important argument? For me, I guess it's kind of case by case, but the graphics, they matter, but I think a smooth gameplay experience is kind of, for me. Dale, what about you, man? We'll go with you first. Let's try to keep it, a little bit.
In the short term, it's important, because if I bought like a brand new next gen system, or if like a new system came out, I want it to look like $1 million, especially since these freaking systems are costing like $500+ now. You see those NVIDIA cards? Holy crap, that shit is expensive. So like yeah, they are, but it's still really pricey. So short-term wise, graphics are expensive, but are important. But in the long term, I really don't care. At the end of the day, I don't really care as long as the gameplay is key.
Yeah, and I mean, there's the graphics get you in, right? They get you in the door, they get you interested, kind of like you're going back to like a Jet Grind Radio or something like that. But go back and play that game. Go back and play that, man.
Amazing.
It's amazing, but not when you put the trigger and the center of the camera on the same button.
Okay, that's a bad design decision. But that was the fault of the Dreamcast controller, because they didn't put in a second analog stick or like any camera button.
And also the fact that that the cord comes out from the bottom of the controller. That's reasonable. That's a reasonable. We love the Dreamcast though. We really do love the Dreamcast, but maybe there's a reason it failed. Dalan, what do you think, man? Graphics are they as important or not as important?
I'd say that there, basically, like Deo said, there is a level of importance to graphics. But for the most part, if the game is not fun, you're not playing it. I don't care how pretty your game is. I will not play it if it's a crap game. I can play the game that has like 8-bit graphics from like 1992, and I can play that all day. I mean, I'll go back and play an Atari game for hours. But if you put Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite in front of me,
it's over. It's over. Luis, where do you stand on this?
Ain't gonna do it.
Graphics aren't important argument.
They shouldn't be, but one thing I'll put a little spin on this one. One thing that I really despise or hate is when I'm specifically on the Nintendo eShop. I'm on the eShop. I'm looking at some random indies and I see some art that catches my eye. I'm like, oh damn, this looks amazing. Let's see what's in there. Open it up. First slide is like pixel art. So they throw in some crazy ass sick looking concept art on the front, and I'm like, ooh, what is this game? And then it's just some crappy 8-bit looking bullshit that's like every other game on the Switch shop. I hate it.
Which is what they used to do back in like how Dalan was talking about the Atari days and Nintendo days. Dude, they put some amazing cover art. Go back and look at some of this stuff. It's like, wait,
you guys remember like what NES, like the Mega Man games used to look like on the box cover, and you're like, oh shoot, look at this thing, and then you play Mega Man.
I want to travel to the pyramids. I want to go to there.
Hey, I'll go all the way back to Atari again. Look at the Missile Command box. It looks beautiful.
Yeah. So I like that tradition, Luis, has kind of continued on to the eShop. Like, well, look, don't click past the second screenshot. Well, look, you must have not liked the 80s and the 90s, but we didn't know better though. We didn't know better back then, right? We didn't have amazing 3D graphics and people's source code getting stolen. The next question we have on here is: do you see buying the same game on a different console as a waste of money? Let's go to Luis with this one real quick. What do you think? Because there's a recent example here. You know, a little Last of Us Part 1 potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's all relative to whoever you're talking to. So I don't see it as a waste of money if it's something that I want to buy again, right? But someone else might see it as like, why are you buying that game again? You've already played it. So for me, it all depends on like what the game is and if I liked it enough to try it out. And if they've made enough changes, specifically like you're talking about Last of Us to The Last of Us Part 1, that's a considerable change to not only visually, but also like the actual gameplay itself.
And I don't know if you caught that, Dalan, but I did apologize to Luis. Half-heartedly apologize for. It's not a cash grab, but it kind of is. So you know.
I did hear that.
Something. It's anything else before we go to the next person here, Luis? Or?
No, that's it.
I think now that I'm reading it again, he might be meaning like you buy it on an Xbox and then buy it on a PlayStation. Is that what you think he means, Dale, or do you think he just means like buying it PS4 and then PS5? We don't know.
I have no clue.
Answer it how you.
I haven't really
how you wish, Dale. Answer it how you wish.
Yeah. I think he is saying buying multiple copies of the same game per platform. If that was my interpretation of it, like, if it's your favorite game, then why not? Like, I fucking buy Yakuza on Xbox, PlayStation, on Japanese versions of it. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm collecting it no matter what. Yeah. So I don't think it's a waste of money as long as like you're happy with it. Like I know, I know people that buy like, they'll play like Rocket League, and they started like on PlayStation, but other people have Switches, and so like they're like, oh, my friends are on there, so I might as well buy a second copy. So as long as you're enjoying it, there's no problem.
And there's also stuff like movies have done it for a while where they have like a Criterion collection or something like that, right? It's like I can't get this from the 50s or 60s anymore. I need to buy the new Blu-ray version of it or whatever it is. So sometimes that is kind of cool, like to see a Naughty Dog to be like, I don't want to pull out my PS3. You know, it's pretty. I mean, even though Last of Us Part 1, it's like the second iteration of that game. Let's be honest here. They're wilding out. They're a little out of control, but it is beautiful. It is a nice little game. Go and play it, I suppose. Dalan, what do you think on this here?
I think it can very much be a waste of money, especially if you're playing games for the fun of it, not simply for the nostalgia of it. I mean, Last of Us 1
sells, Dalan. Nostalgia sells, though. So
Last of Us Part 1 is a good exception simply because they made major updates to the game. Very recently, I decided to play Nier Replicant, and I looked at the original game. I didn't even play the original game, but the differences in those two games wildly different. But you're talking about, but if you're talking about Resident Evil 4 just dropped on PS2, and then it dropped on GameCube, and then it dropped on Nintendo 64, and then it dropped. No,
oh, it's coming out again.
Hey. Yes, I know.
I'm hyped, dude. I'm gonna grab that.
And they're not even changing the story, Dalan. They're not even changing the story at all.
Same story that was written on the can for about a couple weeks, you know, over the course of a couple weeks.
So the biggest thing here is I gotta agree with Luis. Is there has to be enough changes for me to really want it. Yes, if you're a fan of that series, you might just buy it regardless. Like I'm gonna buy Dead Space, and I know it's not gonna be like blown out of the water differences, but I'm still gonna buy it because I want to play it again. That was an excellent game.
Sometimes it's lack of accessibility too, right? Like some of these are like I don't even have the system that it runs on, right? Like I think a lot of like the Dreamcast games, I don't have a Dreamcast. I would love for all of the collection to come forward, right, and just have them on the PlayStation with trophies and everything else, right? Like where's our Skies of Arcadia? Where is that primarily? Where is that? And also where's our Panzer Dragoon Saga? Because that thing keeps selling for like $1,000 somewhere. And that's, you know,
Carlos, put down that game and go play something else.
No, I will. We'll leave it. We'll have one more. We have a poll that Dale put up about tacos, and then we'll get right into the meat and potatoes of the show, I suppose. He just put tacos, comma, I believe, and it was a poll. You put hard shell versus soft shell. 33% went for hard shell, 67% went for soft shell. That was my vote, by the way, because I'll take a soft shell taco. It's like I don't even know what is hard shell. What is it? It's like this one, you know, something somebody invented that had never ate a taco or looked at a taco before. All right, it got 106 votes. That's my opinion on it. Dale, I don't know if you can vote on these polls yourself. I'm not exactly sure how.
It won't let me.
Okay,
it definitely won't let me.
Okay, so if you had a vote, what would you have chosen?
I would definitely go for soft tacos. That's the best way. It's the best and only way. However, although there is an exception that I thought of, and that was Jack in the Box tacos are pretty bomb because they're fried.
Yeah, they're a little
and
soggy.
They taste
they're
amazing, especially after like a night of like, you know, some heavy going out, and then
2 for 1. 2 for 1.
You come back, you drive home, you kind of want to, you know, shape up, and then it just hits a spot. That stuff. That's the only exception, though.
It's a 24-hour establishment.
Oh, they give that. Yeah,
it's a 24-hour establishment, so we very much understand. Dalan, what do you think? Hard shell or soft? What are you thinking here?
I generally don't eat a lot of tacos, but generally when I do, I'll get hard shell tacos. Okay. I like the crunch.
Luis, hard shell or soft shell?
I know. I mean, I'll go for a soft shell for sure, or a tortilla, basically, right? But every once in a while, though, either a Jack in the Box or under similar circumstances, I will say Taco Bell do be hitting sometimes. So give me a Doritos nachos taco.
Yeah, we got a lot of nods for the Doritos local stuff. Yeah.
You know what? We did miss one of the other questions that Mr. What's his name here? Mr. Whiskey Bogart said. I don't know if you guys want to answer this. He said, "Why won't my wife let me see my kids?" It's a little intense, man. But I think you need a little professional advice from that. I don't know if you guys want to take that. Luis, we'll go.
I was just going to say, I don't know. I don't know this man. I just see a Twitter handle. Yeah. I can't help you with that, but I would say maybe look deep inside yourself and ask yourself why that might be. I don't know. I don't know if she's in the wrong or you're in the wrong.
Dale?
Maybe it's both.
Potentially, Dale.
Well, yeah, I don't know him either. Like he just answered this whole thing. But I mean, his Twitter handle is whiskey, so maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe there's a problem there. Maybe put it down. Spend some more time with the missus and the kids. I'm not too sure, but maybe start there. How about that?
It's a little wacky. Dalan, nothing. Do we get onto the rest of the show here?
I have a couple of friends who have the same issue, so I'm gonna say there's one of two reasons: either she's a lying crazy bitch, or you're a bum. So that's what you got.
Okay, Dalan. Okay, and
All right.
with that, we'll get right into the show, right?
We have little information to work on.
Yeah,
yes.
we don't have enough information to work on, Whiskey. We really don't. So sorry about that. Hey, the headline this week: Modern Warfare 2 beta came out this past week. Deo, you didn't get a chance to kind of hit it up, or you don't have too many kind of impressions.
Oh no, I'm media blacking out the damn thing right now.
Even
so.
on the betas, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look. It's pretty damn good. It's good. I will say this. One of the first things I noticed was, Dalan, I don't think they put the graphics in. It looks nice. It looks clean, but it doesn't.
They took the graphics out, and there was no
graphics.
graphics.
It doesn't look super spectacular, right? But I mean, look, these games are trying to run at the fastest frames, right? It's trying to give you smooth gameplay, and it does give you that, right? And it is pretty nice to dip back into it. I don't think I've really spent a lot of time on. I don't really do, I guess, on the Call of Duty games. If we're playing together, I'll jump on. But other than that, I don't go too deep into it. But it feels pretty nice. Dalan, anything you kind of noticed with our playtime here on Modern Warfare 2 over the weekend?
There were two things I really noticed outside, some minor bugs like a guy getting stuck in a box or something like that. But the two main things I noticed is they really push the need for people to parkour in this game. Like, they want you to climb things. They want you to climb through windows. They want you to climb up boxes. They want you to find the routes behind people. Even though there's a small wall there, they want you to mount that wall as quickly as you can and shoot somebody.
Phrasing, but that's
mount
fine.
the wall. Then the other one was they're adding of the mechanic dive. That was way too funny.
The little dolphin dip, the little dolphin dive. Yeah,
hey, somebody tried to dolphin dive at me, and he tried to shoot midair. This game is not the Matrix. It is still Modern Warfare. So,
but
no,
how's it feel, Dylan? It feels pretty. Are you grabbing it? Day one or close to it, or game flying, or what? What are you thinking so far?
For me, when it comes to these first-person shooter games, or these particular Call of Duty ones, unless other people are grabbing it, I don't really have a reason to grab it.
Okay, I think we're gonna dip into it. I mean, Dale is obviously excited. He's on blackout. He's like, I just fresh, which I agree.
Well, okay.
I agree with the login.
Does any progress from the beta move over to like the campaign or anything? Or I mean, like when the release?
Is there a campaign
that I'm
for
not
the beta?
Sure.
I think it was just multiplayer for the beta.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they do, right? Sometimes they do, right? Yeah, but
I don't know.
If
there was, then I'd probably pre-order it now. But
there you go. And
honestly, I don't
think,
see why I wouldn't.
And I'm like, I don't know what I said last week, but I think I'm at like 82.35%. Like, I'm gonna grab it. Like, I'm pre-ordered for that campaign, so I think I might be down. It's pricey, but I gotta put, I gotta. What is the phrase, Dalan? Can you help me out here? Put your mouth where your mouth is, or your money where your mouth is.
That's dirty phrasing. Put your money where your mouth is.
There you go. And I like shorter experiences. I like the fact that it's a blockbuster game. So that's kind of like, look, I gotta put up or shut up. I'm gonna grab this game, pre-order it, and enjoy the campaign. The kind of like summer blockbuster in the fall. Luis, what did you think, man? What's your impressions of Modern Warfare here?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I know there's a handful of people that are kind of upset that they changed some mechanics, particularly in multiplayer, like slide canceling, and the bunny hop apparently is the same. But pretty much slide canceling is just all the sweaty people that were like trying to have super crazy like movement in the map that like their slide cancels, and it also reduced noise.
For people that don't know, maybe I don't know. I'm just trying to ask for myself. But a slide cancel is what exactly? I guess what is happening?
I personally never used it. I never tried to learn it, but it's just a way to increase your movement and like reduce the amount of noise you're making on a map. So it's just the way you basically cancel the slide, and then go back into like your movement. But yeah, the dolphin dive, I will say that's a nod back to Black Ops, the first one that came back actually. Yeah. That's not a new mechanic. Okay. But yeah, I liked it overall. I liked they made a lot of interesting changes to the what do you call it? Basically your like loadout system. So how you like add your perks and stuff like that, and how you add and level up your weapons and things like that. So I'm kind of excited because it's usually it doesn't stray too far from the formula just because it's been working so long for them. But I like that they tweaked it just enough for me to like, it feels fresh enough for me to like want to pick it up. Whether I'm getting it day one or not though, That depends on my employment status. So we'll see.
So I got two things on this.
Go ahead,
just
Dalan,
real quick. One, they need to fix that in-game chat issue.
Yeah, I'm sure that will get fixed.
But two, Dale, I did look it up right now. The progress will not save.
Oh, okay.
There you go. But it is fun. We did have some fun with it, right? And as far as the first issue is, like, it keeps booting us out of our own little private chats, right? It's you get out of a match and it kicks you out of that, and it's supposed to be like in game, but a part of the lobby system, right? And it just
you get the lobby chat and the private chat. It keeps taking you from your private chat and booting you into the lobby chat. It was very frustrating. So before we got to run around and before we got out of the truck or whatever it is, we had to quickly switch back over to our private chat.
Which applies if you're trying to play, if it's crossplay, right? For example, we're trying to play with my brother Brian. He's on PC. Or I don't know if it was more people than just him, but I know it was Brian for sure, and that applies to that, because otherwise, if you're using like a private chat, then that's not an issue, right? Discord or PlayStation or whatever. But if you're trying to use the in-game chat, it's a potential issue. The next thing we have on here is Shuhei Yoshida. Shuhei Yoshida of PlayStation. He had plenty to say this past week. One of the big things, of course, was the fact that the PlayStation VR2, we got an official ad from them. And what was that ad name? It was like Feel the Real or something like that. It was like Feel the Real. But he had plenty to say. One of the big things that I think it was just for me and Luis real quick, I suppose, is that he kind of further like doubled down on he talked about Sony's commitment to premium titles, meaning they first come out, they sell for $60-$70, and then they kind of get added onto PlayStation Plus later. And he referenced like this would be a way for a game, like for a publisher or developer to manage the game's life cycle, quote unquote life cycle, meaning, it comes out, you sell however many copies you sell. For example, like a Last of Us, right? You sell, I don't know, a couple million copies, and then a couple months down the line, like, let's add it to PlayStation Plus. So they're kind of reiterating, and like we've mentioned before, at least I know I've said it on the podcast before, it's like they're coming into PlayStation Plus kicking and screaming, right? It's not like they're like, we have this grand idea of how to do it and whatever. It's like kicking and screaming because Microsoft has a thing and we need to copy them. But what do you think about kind of like these latest comments, Luis?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is a new wrinkle to the whole thing, because before they just said that there would be no titles dropping day one, but now they're saying that they will potentially be added to the collection at some point. Which, I mean, I guess if you're a subscriber to it or looking to subscribe to it, it might not be the most interesting news, but from a business perspective, it does make sense, right? They're not going to just throw money at this thing and hope that because they can't just come in here and kick and scream and take Microsoft down. That's been established for years at this point with Game Pass. So hopefully this tactic kind of helps them get to that point to maybe get some day one titles, or maybe 2 months later, 3 months later, not too long. So because I still haven't subscribed.
Yeah, and I'm sure. Look, Sony's got a nice little war chest, right? But it's not as big as Microsoft's, right? Microsoft can they're still buying billions worth. They're still working on the $1 billion Activision deal, right? Multi-billion-dollar acquisition deal, right? They're still waiting on that to go through. So Sony has enough to buy a Bungie. They did buy a Bungie. They bought them for quite a bit of money though, too, right? It was a couple billion.
13 mil or something.
No, I think it was like $3 billion or something like that. I think, well, we got to check, but it was a grip. It was a grip. And, they didn't necessarily buy them for just Destiny, right? They're like, how do you make a shooter? So it's really interesting that they kind of nailed that down a little bit. And it's like, it makes sense because they do already have the PlayStation Plus collection with God of War. And I think they have some Uncharted's on there. And Last of Us, I think, even the Nun Part 1 is on there. So, they're basically saying, look, we're going to sell you a full retail game, and then down the line, when it stops selling, we'll put it on the collection. The next thing we have, of course, I just mentioned a little bit later, is kind of, I think, around the same interview that Shuhei had regarding the PlayStation VR2. He says, quote, indies will take the risks, end quote. Indies have been waiting for this next VR boom, like Misaguchi-san, which is he's the guy who worked on Tetris Effect, Res, Luminous, Space Channel 5, a Dreamcast classic there, Dale. But I don't. How do you guys see this? We'll go with Dalan first here. Do you? It's sort of saying don't expect to have a lot of AAA games in a way, right? It's like indies have been waiting for this for the PlayStation VR2, or how do you see it? I guess his comments are.
Well, when you have an indie game, you generally want to drop it in a place where it's going to be successful. If the system that they drop it on is already successful, then that's a great place to have it because everybody's going to go there. It's the same reason why the iPhone has like every indie phone game that exists in the world. But when it comes to VR, just in general, they've tried multiple times. I've mentioned this before. They've tried multiple times to bring VR into the world, and it has failed. Or just 3D, for that matter. I mean, we had 3D movie theaters. They took those away. Then they've had
those are around, Dalan. Not too many, but they're still around.
I mean, like there was the boom where it was like blue and red goggles, and then they took that away. Then they had the clear goggles. There were a bunch of different versions of it. But when it comes to video games, I think that the earliest thing that I can remember in regards to VR video games was Virtual Boy. All right, and that one gave people a headache. It made people throw up, and a lot of people didn't.
Well, I mean, the difference is a lot of companies have taken interest into it, man. I mean, you got Meta, Facebook, whatever they're called this week.
Yeah,
but these are like serious investments from Meta and from PlayStation, and and then the HoloLens from Microsoft and AR. So there's. It's still not there. It's still not there. It's still not there.
So tell us, Dalan, why are you going all the way back to Spy Kids 3D?
The reason I'm going all the way back is because they've tried to successfully make a platform for 3D and VR for years. And when we finally got to Oculus and PSVR, we finally hit this stride where it's lasted more than a year or two. Like, people are still talking about VR. Nobody talks about those glasses that they used to wear back in the day anymore.
So what does that say about indies and, like, as far as a platform is
what concerned? It says is that they looked at the PSVR and the Oculus and they said, you know what? Let's wait and see if it's still going in a year or two. And then they decided, all right, now we're going to wait for the next system because they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna drop our games on that.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think it's a little presumptive, as I think it's the word is. How do you? He's thinking like, oh, the indies are just waiting for PSVR2 to drop, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, what is gonna be the sell through? It's not backwards compatible, right? Like, because what the indies could do is like it's compatible with 1 and also with VR2, right? But with it looks better, it's nicer, it takes advantage of all the technology in it or whatever. So it's like
it took away the.
I see it more as he's like. Look, you got Horizon, you got the Star Wars stuff that we kind of took from Oculus Quest, if we're being honest. And they have a couple other games like, this is it. Otherwise, indies take over. And I like how, in a way, he's putting a lot of pressure on Misaguchi, where it's like, I love Misaguchi, man. I love all his games, like Res, Tetris, all that stuff. I love it, but it's like, you're putting a lot of pressure on this man. All right, let him rest. Let him take a little, little moment here. Luis, what do you think of this, man? Kind of like this latest comments.
I mean, Sony has tried, right, with the PSVR 1, I guess we're gonna call it now, to make titles, and it just didn't really take off. Like, it did sort of have a staying power for a little bit, and then it died down, and it's still kind of around, but no one talks about it anymore. Yeah. So I think they're going with the right move here, because it's worked out for Meta, right? They make hardware, and then they have other developers create the software for them. Like, it's successful that so much so that they raised the price of the hardware.
So much so they're like, we feel pretty confident in raising it $100. It's fine.
So yeah, I think if they do it that way, because when you look at the specs on paper for this thing, it looks pretty fucking nice, right? Even though it's got a wire, whatever, we'll be able to deal with that, I think. But if they create the hardware, then I think the devs will come. And that's kind of what's happened with Meta, with the Quest, is that they have this hardware that they keep developing and updating the software for it, as well as the hardware. And devs are pushing titles for it. And I don't think anyone's really ready to play a 15, 20, 30-hour game on VR. You want something that's an indie, that's you could pick up, like, play a Beat Saber song or two and then put that thing down, right? You don't want to, like, spend 3 hours in a headset. So I think it's the right call, but we'll see if it works out.
Yeah, we'll definitely see if it works out. I mean, it's definitely, like, it looks pretty impressive, right? As far as the wires, at least it's like 20 wires less than the original, right? And no camera.
Yeah.
It's the
that was wacky,
nice. Dude. That was super wacky. So we'll see, but we definitely will see. We'll see who's right. I just think it's funny that they're not like Sony's like, oh, we got all this stuff coming out. It's like, you know what? Misaguchi take over, right? We're going to move on to quick takes here. We're still talking about GTA a little bit. One of the things that has come out of the leaks is that apparently there's been a $2 billion budget. I know some of the first things that came out of it was like, oh, they spent $2 billion, but some of the other things I was seeing is like, no, they've allocated $2 billion to work on it. And that could mean like the actual development and also like the marketing of it, right? Which is like rule of thumb is usually like the development costs so much, and then the same amount that you spend on development, you're spending on marketing, right? It's just a rule of thumb. Of course, it's not the same everywhere, right? But and the other thing is they definitely did catch the teenager. He's in the UK, and they charged him with hacking. Dale, anything I missed kind of in sort of like catching up with what's been happening, or correct me if you will?
This is his second time being caught because he was on probation for earlier because he hacked something else. I'm not too sure what it was, but yeah, they caught him the first time, and then he's like, yeah, I won't do it again. Slap on the wrist is what they gave him because he's a minor. And then so he's like, no, I'm too good. I got to show the world how good my skills are.
Hack the planet.
Hack the planet. You know what? Rockstar.
I'm gonna set my sights. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if this kid's like life is all messed up or he turns white hat is what the industry calls it, right? I guess. But we'll see. I don't know. I think he's pretty screwed. He'd be on a short leash from now on for the rest of his life.
Any thoughts on like how much they're gonna spend? It doesn't seem too out of. I mean, they make so much money on this game. I feel like they want to make it perfect, as perfect as it can be. But they want to make it as good.
I think that's low. I think that's a low estimate.
$2 billion. Huh? Okay.
Yeah, I think they spent a lot more on Red Dead Redemption 2 development. So I'm pretty sure this thing will probably be up around like 6 or 7. Maybe
you're out of control, Dale, but I like it, man. But I like it. But
there's with all these like billion-dollar deals going around, man.
True.
I don't know.
True, but that's
the realm of possibility now.
But that's valuations, right? Like that's. But yeah, they spend a lot of money. They spend a lot of money on these games, right? So possibly, and they've been working on it for a while too, right? Like so. Yeah, but I like it.
GTA 5 Online's been funding that, so it's okay. I think they'll be fine with their net net spending on there.
Luis, what do you think, man? Whether it's how much they're spending, the budget, or the kid getting arrested and hacking the world now?
Yeah, no, I think because they started development on this thing like 2 years after the release of GTA 5 from the records that came out, I guess. So, yeah, $2 billion seems reasonable. It might be more than that, but just considering, I don't think it's just people they have on payroll, right? And then they might take one person or a few people out and to do some development or whatever in the meantime while they're working on other things. So, yeah, it could be more than that. But it's interesting to know that they did start on this so soon after GTA 5, and then they're like, wait a minute, this online thing is kind of taking off. What's going on here? So, yeah, I don't know, and I think they'll be able to make it back.
Like, this is interesting. Let's pivot real quick. Let's think about this next GTA thing, right? But we definitely
but I think they'll definitely be fine. I don't think they're gonna be losing money on this thing, especially because there's more likely than not going to be some bleed over. Once GTA 6 comes out, there will be still people. They'll still be supporting 5, I think, for at least a year or two. So they're going to be making money from 2 funnels at that point, I think.
A year or two, people have dropped lots of money into this game, Luis.
They'll stay on there as long as possible.
No, I think they'll support it. I didn't say the people will be playing it. I think they'll still be supporting it for about 2 years, and then
they're gonna split teams.
We'll see.
And look, like we were talking about the $2 billion worth, whether it's allocated or actually already spent or whatever it is. This thing is not going to be out for a couple years, right? And I think they have to kind of tidy up some ends here and there as far as like this major leak that they just had, right? So whether it's like, it's fine. For the most part, people understood what they were looking at. We're just continue on the path we were on, right? But because people can't put up like just the straight raw footage of it, people have been out there mapping Grand Theft Auto 6's Vice City using Microsoft Paint since they can't post the leak. And I guess you guys put that you didn't want to talk about it, but Dan, can you describe what we're looking at though real quick, and then we'll move on, Dalan? Like what are people doing in Microsoft Paint? If you can kind of break this down, and then we'll move on to the next thing here.
What they're doing is they're handing the mouse to their 2-year-old son and just saying, scribble something. And then they're walking away for like 5 minutes. And then they come back and they put some lines pointing to what these things might be because they're not sure. That's what it looks like.
There it is. But you can't post any of this stuff, right? Rockstar is out there just in full force knocking everything down. So people are doing it in Microsoft.
They drew her booty.
People are enjoying the big booty Latina out there. All right. So it's they're really enjoying that. Next thing we have on here. Actually, this was kind of interesting for me and Lisa, I suppose. But I thought so developers were out there showing solidarity with Rockstar. I know one of the big things. I know Control was one where they showed like the blocky kind of like before they put the graphics in, Dalan. You're talking about like, you know, the gray boxes or whatever the technical term is. I'm sure Lisa can correct me on that. And they also showed Uncharted 4, kind of like the layers of like that. What is it, that Jeep scene where you're kind of going through the town and driving around. I was like, it's kind of cool, right? But I thought that was an interesting way of other developers like, okay, some of you guys were like, what the hell is this? What is Grand Theft Auto 6 gonna look like? It's like, this is what the amazing games that are out now that you know and love, this is what they looked like at some point. Luis,
hey,
what do you think?
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, Dalan put no, but you have immediate comment.
You brought up the thing for Uncharted, and that it's like, ding. All right, but go, Luis.
Thank you, Dalan, for letting me go. No, yeah, I think it's cool because I've known obviously from even before being on the other side in the industry, just like taking a look at, and as I'm sure you guys have too, but like behind the scenes, dev diaries, things like that. So you kind of do get a sneak peek into what games look like while they're in development. And for the people, I guess there were people like talking down on GTA 6 or like how it looks terrible. This and that. I went on complete media blackout, so I don't really know what people were saying on Twitter about that. But I'm pretty sure that was a byproduct of like them right in solidarity of like, hey, look, this is what games in development look like. It doesn't look graphically pleasing or visually pleasing for a while, for a very long time. There's one that I saw today for, I think it was Sea of Thieves. It was like a screenshot of a mermaid or a siren, what it would look like for a while it was in development. It's basically like a capsule shape with this, basically looked like a wig, kind of like those old-timey judges or whatever that had like a wig on, and they made it look pretty ridiculous. But that's kind of the fun of game development, putting things in there that look silly while you're developing it. Yeah, exactly. Just to like, we might as well have something funny to look at or fun to look at.
Well, and the thing is, sometimes the purpose isn't like, I need to look at it finished. You're testing things, right? Or you're like, okay, how does this work? Or like, you're not necessarily working on the graphics, right? You're working on the physics, or like, how does this interact with that?
The amount of times I've used like a cube or a capsule as a placeholder for something it happens daily, dude. It happens all the time. So yeah.
Dalan, before we move on, what did it make you think of, Dalan?
It made me think of one of the share footages that Naughty Dog did for Uncharted. I think it was Uncharted 2 or something like that. It might have even been 4. When they were getting chased down like the hill through the town, and you're like going through a bunch of stalls and stuff. They actually showed the behind the scenes where they actually showed like the gray blocky buildings, and they were talking about, we didn't build this whole map. We built a semi-random generator that would make things behind you disappear as you're moving forward, because you would have too much data flowing into the system if you don't erase what's behind you. So they had to get tricky with like going around a wall and then things disappear real fast.
I know Lisa said it on the podcast before, right? It's like a magician, right? It's like a magician. Like, here, we're putting on a show here. Don't look over here. Look here. Look here.
Yeah, that's a tricky situation. That happens a lot in games. There's a term that I completely am blanking out on right now, but basically in any situation where you have like a hold this button to crawl through or open the door or whatever, like they're loading the new level and unloading the one behind you, like, or when they make you jump down into something so that you can't get back up, they've unloaded what was there before so they could bring in the new information, so it's not like in memory. But yeah, there's a lot of tricks like that.
If you go for like, if you're going for like trophies and stuff like that, that kind of stuff drives you mad, because like it's right there, but because you made me walk down here, I can't get back there, you know. So that's if you're chasing trophies, that kind of, it makes you go crazy a little bit.
No, Carlos, what game was it that we were playing where you would get stopped entirely and your character would have to like sidle through like whatever the heck they were going
to do? It's a lot of games.
Yeah, but there was one
Uncharted
specific
has done
recently.
Well, Uncharted has done it. I'm pretty sure The Quarry did it a couple times, like some of the loading, some of the cutscenes that they did on there or whatever. But it's a lot of games. Like once you see it the first time, you see it a lot. And I don't know if now with solid state drives, maybe it's a little less, but I know definitely PS3, PS4, every time you're crawling through something, it's definitely
Oh,
loading
no.
the next section.
Luis, you just shattered the illusion to me. Now I'm just gonna see that every time. But like, oh no.
You're
Every
welcome.
time a
Welcome
game
to my
stops
world.
you- yeah, every time a game stops you, that's what it's doing, Dale. That's what
I
it's
didn't
doing.
want to know how the sausage was made.
So
man.
the
Damn.
next one we have on here is, I know Lisa's in Blackout, and I also am actually. I keep seeing it popping up, and I'm like, I just gotta scroll past. But The Last of Us on HBO, they kind of try to make that distinction between HBO and HBO Max, right? So they're saying HBO Max, The Last of Us, it actually got an official teaser. Dale, did you kind of look at it?
I
not
watched
too
it.
spoilery, but you're impressed. You're looking forward to it. What?
Yeah, because I was kind of shaky on it to begin with. 'Cause a lot of those adaptations don't end up very well made, and so I was like, oh, I don't know how this one's gonna go. It looks the part, but like, you could make the highest quality looking trailer and make it look great, but the actual thing might not end up the way you envisioned it. So it could be terrible for all we know, but given the track record on who's running it and the property, I think they have a potential to be a very big hit on their hands going forward.
Well, and
this one,
also
but-
I think it'd be like perfect timing because The Walking Dead is having its last, at least for the main show. It's been not great. It's good sometimes, bad sometimes. It's on and off, right? But that show is they're finally having a final send off, and I think it's perfect timing for like, oh, you missed The Walking Dead, boom, here you go.
Yeah,
it's probably
and
might even be better. I hope it's better.
Yeah, it potentially might be because the property it could be.
It's
I
strong.
mean, the property itself is very strong, and it has a huge fan base. And I don't know if you guys watched Chernobyl on HBO. That was a really good
did.
like docuseries.
Yep, really
on that,
good.
and that's the guy that's running this joint. So
Okay, there you
it's
go.
if they hit that tone right, I'm pretty sure they're gonna hit it out of the park.
There you go. Dalan, what do you think, man? You looked at the teaser. You're convinced?
I did look at the teaser and I'm very convinced to actually watch this. My only problem, and this is only because I'm so used to the way the characters look on the video game. Like I knew Pedro Pascal was like a damn good Joel. I had absolutely no problem with him. But Bella Ramsey, I was kind of iffy on, and then I saw her in the trailer, and I'm still like, man, I just can't see her as Ellie.
And that is hard. It is hard.
There's just the stark difference. It's like heavy.
Well, and you know what? And just having played through part one, there is a certain like, this is Ellie, dude. Like it's kind of impossible. Like Joel, not to say isn't distinctive, but he's kind of a gruffy.
He's got that ruggedness. You can just you can just put some hair on his face. He's good.
Let's get Pedro Pascal to play him, and it's fine. But Ellie, I don't know. There's a certain like very specific, very like the emotions. A lot of the emotion in the game is Ellie, right? Yeah, so it's gonna be tough.
She's like the hardest character to cast. I feel like she'd be the hardest one.
Maybe nearly impossible, right? But they gotta pick somebody. Go ahead, Dale.
You gotta pick somebody. But I will say that she's still. I know she's a great actress because she did the game. She did Game of Thrones, and that was like the only thing I ever saw her in. But she did a great job in that, and I'm down to see her do another role. So
there you go. The next thing we have on here, this one's specifically for Deo, but the Xbox Series X showed up in white on a Logitech ad, and quickly Microsoft had to come out and say like, we don't have any plans to release it in white for a while. So it looks kind of nice, but is anyone asking for a white colored Xbox Series X? Because I like the one I have. I like the black Xbox Series X. But what do you think?
There are people, but as a quick take for this one, it's actually real. It's just decal though. So like that's why it was in the marketing material. It's totally not the same. So they're not manufacturing
like the PS5 being black, or it's not the same.
It's not the same. Right. So it's I think someone was making a decal that you would stick onto it, and that's why I made it into the promotional material like that way. But I know a lot of people that were down to put down money again for another Xbox Series X that's white. So I mean, cool for them. The black one works fine to me. It performs the same way.
Yeah, there you go. The next
hey, hopefully they don't go after them like Sony did with D-Brand with the plates. Remember that whole situation?
Yeah.
That happened.
Yeah, because in the background, PlayStation was like, we gotta sue we gotta sue this person because in the background we cooking something up over here. We got something going. They're trying to screw up our plans. Fucking Sony, man. But yeah, Microsoft quickly came out and was like, nope, we're not We're not working on that. Don't get your hopes up, right? The next thing we have on here, I think we've mentioned it a little bit more, but there keeps being little wrinkles on this story. Cyberpunk 2077 continues to surge. Basically, and well, actually, maybe I could use a little help on this one. I know you've been playing through it again, Deo, but they say the fans really want to take out Edge Runner's cruelest villain. I don't know how unspoilery you can make that, but is there people that show up in the Netflix show that are enemies in the game that you take out, or is it separate?
Without being spoilery?
Yeah, I mean, maybe you have to. Maybe you have
Spoiler
to.
away,
Because I haven't seen the Netflix series yet.
I highly recommend checking that out, honestly.
Yes.
I really do. Because, like, if you were to play the game and go against certain opponents in that game and then potentially see them in the series, it's a total different take. Yeah, but they're totally different takes on the characters. So they're treated completely differently, and the way they did it in the Netflix series makes a lot more sense for that universe in the anime sense. And the way they did it in Cyberpunk the game makes a lot more sense.
That was perfectly non-spoilery, I feel. And I need to watch
I
the
hope
show,
so.
man. I need to catch up to the show. The next thing, of course, is that it apparently is at 7 times its highest peak in August. So the game just keeps surging. And whatever it was, man. I mean, it could be like it was 10 players last month and now it's 70, right? Or whatever it is, right? But the idea is that it's just surging. And part of it, I'm sure, is the Netflix show. That's incredible in a way, right? That it's like, we're gonna put up this show and it's like, wait, what the, I like this show, what is this game, right? So you could kind of make a direct correlation and you know, I think you can make a fair correlation of that. But what do you think about that, Dale, as far as it keeps beating its own records, I suppose, as far as peak on Steam?
I'm excited about it because that in 2020 I was super hyped. I bought the Xbox One X like Cyberpunk console edition, and I had like all the limited edition controller, and I had all this other junk for it, and I was about to buy figures and everything. But then like when it came to actually playing the game on that One X, which it was kind of designed for, like it ran like poop. And like it went for like 12 frames per second. There's bugs up the wooza everywhere, and it was just unplayable. So now it's kind of like a good redemption arc.
It's a good redemption arc, and I know some people have mentioned like No Man's Sky is in a similar boat, which I'm like, Sean Murray, stop lying to us. But yes, I agree that No Man's Sky started off.
Yeah, it makes sense that the reaction is like this because the Cyberpunk universe is totally unique amongst its peers, and Netflix is the largest streaming service. So you know, exposure to that world, that's something that's totally new to a different audience. Like garners interest for their property. So I'm happy for them that they found out their way to make their series relevant again.
Otherwise,
so Luis, I know. Did you say? I think last week you said you're gonna play it, Luis. Or did you pick it up? You gonna play it on Steam or something, right? On PC or
no? Yeah, I'll get to it at some point. I'm just in the middle of like 3 games right now, so I'm not in a rush to get into a new one. But it is cool to see that there's like sort of redemption arc for CD Projekt Red, and hopefully we'll be able to now say in a positive way, like they did a Cyberpunk 2077, right? We used to use that in a negative way of like nobody wants to do that. Everyone's delaying their game. They don't want to be in the same situation, but being able to like not give up on a franchise. And hopefully, this means, depending on how successful this ends up being, that maybe they release that one DLC that they canceled that they weren't going to release, or they'd release a sequel or something like that. So maybe this will be a successful IP for them in the long run.
But I thought they were coming out with a DLC. They're coming out with
but they canceled one of them.
Yeah.
They canceled one.
Okay.
Yeah. So Dalan, what do you think, man? What do you think of all this kind of a Cyberpunk, and then a positive, like how Luis is saying, right now they're pulling out.
Yes, I'm actually very happy for Cyberpunk, and just seeing how much is going into this with the DLC, the anime. They're really diving into the whole franchise itself, and apparently it's successful enough for them to want to actually branch out this way. I'm like, man, maybe this is like the perfect time for me to go back. But like Luis said, I got too many cooks in the kitchen right now. I got like 3 different games going on.
I mean, feel like that's not necessarily that's the way the phrase is used, but I like it, Dalan. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll
it's not
take it.
it's not
I'll
used
take
that
it.
way, but
I'll
I'm gonna
take
throw it out there anyway.
But I'll take it.
Too many spoons in the pot or something.
Yeah, too many spoons in the pot. I can't remember the phrase.
Too
many pots cooking.
Is it too many spinning dishes or something? Isn't that a thing?
Too many spinning dishes. You're spinning too many plates.
There you go. Maybe you're spinning too many.
A plate is a
now.
dish.
Yes.
You're spinning too many plates right now, man. That's what's going on here. The next thing on here is we finally got official word that E3 2023 is back on. A couple interesting little wrinkles to it, of course, is that it's coming back June 13th to the 15th, and it's going to be open. Those are like media days, and then on the 15th they're going to start the public days, so the public can go for 15th and 16th. Which is kind of what they've always kind of been asking for forever, since they started letting the public in. It's like, or the public in, they're like, don't let them all in at the same time. Let the media have a couple days, and then the public at the end of its run, right? They come in. One of the interesting things is, if you've been following E3, is like, I've been to it a couple times, and I think the first time I went, Kensho Hall was open, which is like the underground part of it. So there's like, I think it was West Hall and West and North or something like that, right? The big halls. And then there was Kensho Hall, but after like the first year I had gone, which I think was 2009, they closed it, but now they're opening it again, and they're kind of having that little section open again for kind of business attendees. It was where they had the weird crap. It's where they had the weird crap at Kensho Hall. Like, if you ever remember reading EGM, it's, they talked about Kensho Hall. It's like, that's where you see the wacky crap. But the thing is, some of the wacky stuff would be successful. That's where they had Guitar Hero, for example, in Kensho Hall, right? They didn't have it at a big old like booth until a couple years later, right? But Dale, what do you think, man? Are we gonna try to get like a little access to this? I think when we got cons potentially.
I want to go, and I think you guys should go, so I could finally meet up and just geek out on games. Man, I'm telling you.
I'm down.
I've never been to the LA one in E3, so I would love to go and see that stuff. At least get a picture in front of the hall and see oh,
there you go. What do you think of kind of like the media versus the public days, or any thoughts on that? Or
I think that's proper. I think that's okay. I think that's perfectly okay. Media should get some sort of scoops in, and I don't know, like the way that the media works nowadays, like if someone already breaks it off of Twitter, like everyone knows about it anyway, so we're not losing too much news wise, and that's okay. That's okay with me. Hopefully it reduce some of the lines. I doubt it, but hey, I'll go with the Kensho Hall if that ever happens.
There you go. Now there's 3 halls. There's 3 halls to kind of contend with. So we'll see. The next one was kind of interesting. So James Earl Jones said he's stepping away from doing the Darth Vader voice. And people online were like, an AI might take over. One of the big things, which is more related to us, is the fact that Ninja Theory uses it, apparently. And there was a guy on Twitter, I'm always Boyo. He said, hey, Ninja Theory, are you actually considering replacing human voice actors with AI? And then Ninja Theory responded. They said, no. For clarity, we use this AI tech for placeholder content only to help us understand things like timing and placement in early phases of development. We then collaborate with real actors whose performances are at the heart of bringing our stories to life. Basically, they do use it, right? It's kind of like a halfway answer. It's like halfway in, halfway out, where they're like, we use it to, like Luis was mentioning, I don't know if it's exactly the 100% analogy, but you're like, you use capsules or you use whatever as placeholders, and they're using that for voice, but basically what they're saying is like, we're gonna bring real actors at some point. All right, we're just trying to figure some shit out here. Actually, we'll go with Luis on that. Is that a fair analogy, or do you feel like audio is its own separate sort of beast, I guess?
No, yeah, it's exactly the same situation. I wish, though, that I worked in a studio that had this technology, because there's a lot of times where we're like in sort of pre-development, and I'm creating, some sort of functionality specifically related to audio, and someone's like, yeah, just put in the placeholder thing, and I'm like, I don't have anything. Like, what do you want me to put in there? I can't make sound out of thin air. So it's usually some wacky sound of like, but yeah, with VO specifically, we've always done something, at least studios I've worked at, where it's like a rough cut, not cleaned up audio, just like even the sound engineer recording the voice line or something, or like the game director recording a voice line and putting it in. So yeah, if we had something like this AI tech that they have, that would be great. But it sounds like they know that it's not something that's ready for like full development, but I don't know, maybe at some point they'll be able to replace it.
Or that they wouldn't use it that way, right? I mean, they're kind of saying like, look, you want the real person kind of emoting it, right? But who knows, man? AI will eventually take everything over, right? Like eventually we'll take all our jobs, not just Lisa's, all of our jobs. Dalan, what do you think here, man? As far as like the AI versus real voices and how they're implementing it.
Well, I do know that there are previous games, maybe not all games, obviously, where they have used AI just to be able to simulate a voice for people because maybe they couldn't afford actors or something like that. But I would feel that it would be a terrible situation if they ever outright just went to just move to AI voices altogether, because that would literally start putting people out of work. That would just be terrible. I doubt they would ever do that if they have any type of sense. But that is a whole market right there. That is just that is an industry. Just
that's a lot of engineers that would be employed, though.
Yeah,
that'd be a lot of Lisa's having a job right now. That'd be a lot of Lisa's having a job right now, Dalan. So what are you trying to say, Dalan? What are you really trying to say? Do you not want?
I'm trying to say make a balance.
Well, balance creates unemployment. Deo, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts here?
That was a hot take on you,
hot
Carlos.
takes. Hot takes.
I know what I said. Deo.
Oh yeah. So I didn't realize that was the second part of the question. I just read the James Earl Jones was retiring from Darth Vader.
Okay,
so I said yes.
What is your thoughts on that then?
I just wanted to say thank you, James Earl Jones, for bringing us one of the most iconic voices of all time in cinema.
He's like, I didn't know it was deeper than that. He's like,
I'm sorry. That was my fault. That was my bad.
That's all right.
But in terms,
let's go.
In terms of, no, I'm double checking. Okay, no, we're fine. We're good. But in terms of the AI thing, I haven't even heard it. Is it like, does it sound like, like Stephen Hawking AI, or is it like much better these days? Like, I have no idea.
Well, I think the idea is that it's not in the final product, right? Luis, it's not in the final product. Okay. It's really just
it's just there for timing to figure out, like, because like when you're in a scene, like let's say in Uncharted, where two characters are talking at once, and maybe one character cuts the other one off or something like that, like just getting the pacing right, and then they replace it. So it never actually makes it into like the ship title.
Oh, okay.
But thank you, James Earl Jones. Again, that was the question, Dave. That was the question. Next thing we have on here, we will finally be able to hear the Mario voice. It's October 6th at 1 p.m. They have a very specific time and date for it at New York Comic Con. There's going to be a teaser trailer for Super Mario Brothers film. I know Luis, in our own like party chat, group chat that we have on the side, he was throwing around disseminating some like fake Mario voices. I don't know if that's kind of your comment on this, Luis, or what do you think, man? That we actually
I mean, I hope it sounds exactly like that tweet that I saw from Lights Camera Pod. There's that one. It's some really old meme. Some dude like with the red shirt, red pants, and like a gold chain on and a watch. And he's like, hey, you motherfucker, you. Hey, I'm walking here. I just hope it's that guy. I can't imagine Chris Pratt like in the sound booth, just like, hey.
and Chris Pratt already kind of said, right? He's like, I'm not gonna do what you guys think I'm gonna do. Imagine though, he's like, I'm not gonna do what everybody thinks I'm gonna do, and then he just goes crazy, right? And he does that exact voice. He does that exact voice. Okay, Chris.
Oh, I want it, dude. I will be there day one.
Yeah, well,
I'd pay so
much
money.
I love how Luis got into character on that one.
That was amazing. That was so good.
Hey, but Luis, me and you will be right there when it's like, we fucking knew it. We knew he was gonna do it. We knew that was the voice he was gonna do. He had you guys fooled, but we knew that was the voice he was going for. Next thing we have on here, and I got a lot of yeses on this one, so I'm glad to see I'm among Splinter Cell fans. But there's a Splinter Cell remake in the works, but they're saying that they're kind of gonna make it more relevant to quote modern day audiences, end quote. What does that mean? Who knows, right? We can only
I know exactly what it means.
Okay, we'll go to you real quick, Dalan. But the good thing is there's a remake, and I enjoyed those games, especially because they kind of challenged the status quo of Metal Gear Solid, right? And it actually played pretty well, I feel like, the Splinter Cell games. But Dalan, what does that mean? What do you have insight into this studio? You actually work for Ubisoft.
No, I have insight into the fact that it's Tom Clancy. That's exactly what it is. Have you seen any Tom Clancy movies recently? every time they make a new Tom Clancy movie, those books were written a long time ago, or at least most of them were, and they're still updating them regardless of what time they're made, and they will do it with recent events. That's exactly what they're going to do with Splinter Cell. All right, they're going to remake that game and say, we're not talking about corporate greed or nothing like that. We're going to talk about like James Bond shit. They're trying to blow up something. I don't know.
There you go. I don't know.
Their queen is dead now, Dalan.
Dalan, I thought you knew.
I don't know what their MacGuffin is gonna be, but they're gonna change it.
Dalan, you said you knew exactly
I
what
know
they were gonna do.
exactly what they're gonna do.
I know exactly what they're gonna do. He's like, I don't know if that's what they're gonna do. So thank you.
I know
for
what
that,
they're gonna
Dalan.
do, but I don't know what their goal is. All right.
All of a sudden.
Okay.
All of a sudden. Okay.
Hey, I got you halfway there. Take the rope.
Luis, what do you think, man? What is modern day audience? What are they gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, I feel they've always kind of done that, but just because it's been such a long time since the last title that they have to make it to like today. They can't just reboot that exact sort of title, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I feel like they've always kind of tried to modernize it and not and make it more grounded or make it less grounded or more whatever.
Yeah.
So I am excited because it's been quite a minute, and I think even Deo a while ago was like, "Why haven't they remade this game?" Or was it a Splinter Cell or was it Siphon Filter? I don't.
It's Chaos. Chaos Theory.
There you go, Deo. What do you think, man? What do they need to do to kind of get you kind of interested? I suppose.
I'd be happy with a remaster of like the original Splinter Cell 1 through 3. I think 3, yeah, and then
Pandora's Box or whatever.
It's like that. I was thinking of what it was. It's Pandora's Tomorrow. Is number
I think
Pandora Tomorrow, and then there's Chaos Theory. So if they remake those ones, or like I just had like a remaster, that'd be kind of good. Although, is it on Steam already? I don't even know. But yeah. if they want to really update it, they should just go all out and just do like a soft reboot for the series, like backtrack to Sam Fisher's story, just have that original thing. And
give it the Hitman treatment. Give him a suitcase
yeah,
and throw him, let it
do
fly
something
through the
like
air.
that. Because like the cool thing about Splinter Cell that was totally different from like the Metal Gear Solid series was that it really poured its heart into like the actual stealth abilities of Sam Fisher. Like, when you could like shoot out lights, you could never do that in a game before that. And then, or you could like slit, what do you call it? You could slice open like soft fabric materials. Sorry. And then but it was part of the gameplay. That's what like made it really cool. Like you were really stalking the AI.
Yeah. My favorite thing when I saw it in the trailer was you could jump up in the air and do the splits and have somebody walk underneath you.
That was so sick.
I think
hang upside down and like put a camera on the wall and try to shoot someone out,
I think,
or knock them out.
I think the only thing like I'm trying to think is like, okay, modern day audience. The only thing I could think is they can make it even more grounded, more of like how Uncharted and Last of Us are like. You feel like it's gritty, right? Like you're in a street fight, sort of. So I don't know if these games actually had that much of a feel, right? Even with
for the later titles, for the later titles after Chaos Theory, when they went into Sam Fisher's story, it got a lot more gritty. Because that was like the time that it is. But like if they went like sort of how Modern Warfare 1 and Modern Warfare 2 are going, where it's like a little more modern theater of war with the current technology and gadgets and guns that you have. And like a much prettier graphics engine, then it'll sell like hotcakes. Just because it's Ubisoft, they're really good at those.
We're
games.
excited, right? We're excited. Bring this out already. Put the graphics in Ubisoft. Don't forget to put the graphics.
Don't hamper on that, man.
And there you go. We're pretty hyped about it. The next thing on here, me and Dalan have played. We haven't played it, Dalan. I hope you picked it up. Maybe you didn't, but we'll figure it out. Gearbox said that the Tiny Tina Adventures, which was supposed to be kind of an offshoot of the Borderlands games, they said it's a great victory, quote. And there's more experiences in development, and it's clearly a franchise that franchise after shattering its targets, which is this from VGC and Eurogamer saying that. So Tiny Tina's Adventure, we got to go back, right, Dalan? We got to go back to Tiny Tina and kind of finish that title.
I will say this: Tiny Tina's is a great victory, but don't do it again. Do a different game. That's my thing. No, I mean it's just like Borderlands. The problem with Borderlands is it was all the same.
Yeah.
People got tired of Borderlands. They were like, all right, move on from Borderlands. They were like, no, we're gonna do Borderlands the Handsome Collection. We're gonna do Borderlands freaking I don't even remember the name of the group that did the story version, whatever
the Telltale.
Yeah, Telltale Borderlands 1 and 2. Let's go back and re-release Borderlands 1 again. Let's do the pre-sequel, whatever the hell that was.
Oh, there you go.
Dude, get away from that, whatever
Well,
it
and
was,
even-
move on to the next thing. They have a great engine and they
Yeah.
can do anything with it, but they just keep doing the same
Well,
thing
and even
over and over
even
again.
Tiny Tina is basically Borderlands, right? With like
It is Borderlands,
some D&D
but it's
sprinkled
nice
in there,
little
right?
spin.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
little spin
I
to
mean,
it.
put the next one in space or something like this. Well, I guess
pre-sequel, I think,
other
was in
Borderlands
space or
were
something.
definitely in space, but you know what I mean, right? The fact is, they could do so much with the sandbox that they have, and they are not doing it.
All right, Luis, what do you think, man? I know how much you love the art style in these.
Yeah, I like that you think that I like hate this game or something, because you hit me up on one of the group chats. Are like, sorry, Luis, this was a smash hit for Gearbox. I'm like, good for them. I don't care. Like, I'm never gonna play this game, you know. But good for them. I do hope that, like Dalan is saying though, that they don't double down on something that might not sell as well. So because that kind of. I remember playing the first Borderlands and thinking like, okay, I'm not a huge fan of this art style. I'm not really into this kind of game. And then a lot of people liking it, and then it just fell off like immediately. So hopefully they don't make the same mistake here. Yeah, and maybe use their Gearbox and make some more interesting titles out there.
I see what you did there. I see what you did.
Yeah,
there.
maybe make a
companies, 'cause I know
pre-sequel.
Fox was mad.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Like a Western.
The next thing we have on here, of course, is that EA Motive, which EA Motives are the ones that are making the Dead Space remake, are officially working on a new Iron Man game. They didn't say too much, but what you can figure is I would assume they take that nice Anthem engine, which of course it flopped completely. But you flew around like an Iron Man, right, Dalan? You remember kind of flying around like an Iron Man in Anthem. So
I saw trailers for it. That was more Jeremy Lowe.
That was more Jeremy. So what do you think, Dalan, that we're gonna get an Iron Man game and it's officially confirmed that they're working on one?
Hey man, I say do it. If you can make a good Iron Man game, I think the last VR Iron Man game that came out was a huge success, and it wasn't even a full game.
It's a VR game too, I think. Is that the one you're talking about? Or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, you could do a successful Iron Man game. Why not do it?
There you go. That's it. Why not do it? Luis, what do you think, man? You excited about an Iron Man game?
No, I just find it interesting that this studio that is this gonna be their first title, the Dead Space one? Because I don't know if I've heard of Motive before.
Potentially, yeah, maybe it was put together. I'm sure
Because
it's
it would
veterans.
either way. To me, it's interesting that before they release this Dead Space game, they're like, "Hey, by the way, we're gonna, you guys are gonna make another game for us," and without any sort of barometer for how successful the development was of what title they're working on right now. So I just find that to be interesting.
They did Squadrons and Battlefront 2.
Oh, okay. So they have some success.
Star Wars Squadrons wasn't too bad, man. That was some good dogfighting there in that game.
All right, so I guess they have some experience in developing flying things. So maybe with Iron Man and Anthem's engines, and so whatever. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with this.
There you go. There's a story that Dalan added onto. Well, it was on the rundown, but I didn't exactly was going to talk about it. But there is a sneak peek of the next game, Joseph Ferris, and of course he's famous for being on the Game Awards saying "fuck you Oscars," and then the very next year winning the Game of the Year award.
The GOAT.
Right? And also, we got Com's 2021 Game of the Year as well. It Takes Two, right? He also worked on A Way Out. He's working on his next game. I know, Dalan, you threw this on here. I kind of didn't throw it on here because it's really just a motion capturing.
It's a picture of the motion capture,
Yeah.
but it's the idea that this man is going in and he's gonna do it again. That's what I'm happy about. Because A Way
that's
Out,
what he does
we went
for a
and played
living,
that.
Dalan.
It's got that. Yeah, I know, but he's the one that makes like good co-op games.
Okay.
He's the one you're excited that he's making a co-op game now. I'm very excited for his next co-op game. I don't care what the name of the game is. It Takes Two. I think somebody put something about the Electric Boogaloo or something like that. I don't know. But the fact is that he's going to make another game, and I'm excited to play whatever it is.
There you go.
If it's co-op, I'm even more excited.
Yeah, I think that's what he does, right? I think that's what that company does, right? And they make some of the best Game of the Years all over the place, even on our dear little tiny website over here. Luis, what do you, or Dale, what do you think here, man? That he's working on the next game.
No, I'm like Dalan, man. I'm super excited. I don't care what it is. Like, I'm just hyped that he has enough passion to just keep going. He's like, I won the Game Awards, whatever, but I'm gonna
fuck the Oscars, win the award.
He had the balls to say "fuck the Oscars" way before anything.
Yeah.
You appreciate
and if
that
he's
kind
willing
of
to do this, it's good. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of
Let the man make something,
Yeah.
Let him go. He has ideas.
Yeah, so if you guys haven't played It Takes Two, I think it was on Game Pass. I don't know if it's still on Game Pass, but I know
It is,
was,
yeah.
right? So
It Takes Two is. I don't know about A Way Out.
No excuse to not play that.
No,
And
No Way Out
was
on there
good.
too.
Yeah, A Way Out was pretty good too, actually. I maybe play that one first because, of course, it would have gotten better by the time you played Takes Two. And It Takes Two is a much better game, but A Way Out is good too as well. Luis, any thoughts on this, or do we move on to what you've been playing here?
Yeah, I mean, cool. It's good to see this guy working on just knowing that there's something new coming, around the corner, or who knows, within a year or two or something. Yeah, I like The Way Out. Never finished It Takes Two. I don't think they could call the next one It Takes Two because Take Two will probably come after him again. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
That title, they can't do that.
And he won
Just
that,
rename
man.
it Electric Boogaloo.
That's an example of like, stand your ground, man. I mean, it's yours. What you're naming your game after a company or whatever.
I mean,
like,
coming after the guy that said "fuck the Oscars." I mean, they knew what they were getting into.
That sort of.
He said, "I will dump all my money into winning this lawsuit. I don't care how long it takes."
Rockstar's
pride
wacky.
at that point.
Rockstar's wacky, dude. And I know a lot of like the strikes that they were doing, they actually like manually like removed the strikes also of GTA 6. They're like, oh, okay, fine. They're talking about it. They don't have the footage, right? Type of thing. So Rockstar is overzealous as far as like, let's block everything, and then they've proven at least, I guess, that they will remove them. So what you've been playing, Luis? You haven't kind of been playing nothing too crazy this past week, the usual stuff here. Well,
I mean, I just put because we talked about it earlier. I don't really have anything more to add to Modern Warfare, but that's basically what I was playing. Yeah, this past week.
Dale, anything kind of exciting, or you've kind of been moving and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. But in between that, I'm just like trying to finish off like other games like Gran Turismo, Forza. I did finish Shredder's Revenge, the Ninja Turtles side. Oh, it's so good. Like it's the perfect example of like, the evolution of that beat 'em up series. Like it's just like the animations are good, the soundtrack is so well done. Like I could just jam to that while like beating up the foot, and like the combat mechanics are so much better than like even like Streets of Rage 4, which I was playing. And I was just like, damn,
they
you
have
could really
enough.
go
It's not too complex, but enough wrinkles to it that's like, okay, yeah, there's got some nice little.
And I'm sure like they thought about it and like, hey, let's include like up to 6 players in this thing because it gets wacky if you have like more than 3, especially with everyone's supers and stuff. But it's fun as hell. That doesn't change the fact that it's super fun. So
stop stealing my pizza.
So 2 things, Dale. What's the most players that you got to play with, I guess, in this game?
Only 2.
Okay,
only two. So I played with me and my buddy. We're playing.
Okay, there you go.
Dude, I'm down to reinstall it to go for it.
Because me and Dalan got super wacky with it, and we were up to 6 players at one point. And it's so beautiful, Dale, that it's like just the setup and like the way that few games do it. I don't know why they don't all do it. Even Halo's over here, let's not do split screen co-op or whatever local. But this one, you can actually have as many people as you can have on your console and go online with it. Like, I know the wackiest setup I think we had was me and my daughter and Dalan joined with Dalan and 2 other
people.
2 other people, I think. And then my brother joined as the 6th too. So it was like a
that's right.
awesome combination of like, you can only do 6 players for so long, though.
Exactly.
Too much. It's just too much.
There's you run out of like enemies to fight against, so it's just like, but like it's still really fun. Yeah. Like I loved how like
we
even
did not
after
have a shortage of enemies, we were dying all over the place. I don't know what's wrong with you, man.
I don't know. I was pretty conservative with how it played, but like I don't know, just the design of that game is just so perfect for the type of situation, like the social like aspect of game playing. So it's a home run in my book. Yeah. And if anyone hasn't played it yet, play the damn game. Buy it. I bought it off of limited run games. I bought like 2 physical copies, so now I'm just gonna have them ready for my Switch and ready for my Xbox. And yeah, I'm down to play if you guys are down to play.
Well, and at some point it goes off of Game Pass too, right? Like it's the deal on it is definitely like, we gave it to you day one. Go buy the damn thing at this point if you're like trying to go back to it, right? But I'm down to jump on for a few levels.
With that said, I'm going to hit him up here live. Jeremy Lowe, you got your Xbox. You can play with us. So stop BSing. Load it up.
It's on wax. It's on wax.
Hitting him up on his birthday? Wait, I don't want to dox him, dude.
Oh.
Well, it's too late. I think you just did that. But no, I gave him Xbox One for his birthday, so he better.
There you go.
There you go.
Dale, so that was it. Huh? Shredder's Revenge. That was pretty damn good game. We'll jump on and play a couple levels. I'll be down for that. For me, I finally got around to playing a Plague Tale Innocence. It's really interesting coming off of like The Last of Us Part 1 and playing a Plague Tale Innocence, because it's obviously like we wanted to play like The Last of Us, but we either don't have the money for it or we only have so much. So the animations I put down here, that it's got derpy animations, and the voice acting it leaves much to be desired. If we're talking about like AI voices, maybe that's what they were using here. Okay, that's what they were using. AI voices threw in here.
You're hitting them up
hard. That's not fair. That's not fair.
Best, man. They tried their best.
What the hell, man? That's like going to a steakhouse, then you went to like a Sizzler after with the
like, what is this? Why don't I have the steakhouse flavor? He had Sizzlers.
He said, I went to the steakhouse and brought the A1 sauce with me.
I will say, I do like the soundtrack. Like, I do like kind of the background noises of it, where it's not exactly like they're just playing flutes and stuff, but they're actually playing like some modern-y sounding, like, you know, kind of like the stuff like I don't know if you guys seen the movie Drive. Like, they kind of have like just ambient noises, kind of like, oh, this is beautiful. And it's sort of anachronistic, right? Because it's like you're talking about 1300s, and they have like kind of, you know, kind of ambient noises that are a little techno-y. I don't know what to call them, but it's nice. I like the soundtrack of it. The main thing here, though, that Hugo kid does not shut up. He's out of control. He's completely out of control.
But he doesn't bug you, man. He's like not. He's not even there.
He doesn't.
Oh, I'm gonna defend this game now, man. Stop.
The controls are fine, though. The controls are fine. I think Lise was saying the controls were a little wacky. I guess I'm interested to know, what are wacky about them, Lise? What did you think were kind of...
No, just to me in the intro and the tutorial, just the walking and running out, I had to get used to it. And through the tutorial, I got used to it. But at first, I was like, "Oh, I'm not sure about this."
The game is basically you're attached to another human, Hugo. Please shut up, Hugo.
You have to hold his hand the whole time.
You're holding his hand, but I think they do a good job though of...
It's an escort mission the whole time.
It is, but it's not annoying though. It's not annoying like an escort mission though. But they definitely get that in the controls, that you're grabbing onto someone, you're holding onto someone, but you can do things for the most part.
You feel like a tank. A little bit.
A little bit tanky, right? And also you could just tell the kids like, "Hey, shut up, just lay there, just stay there for a moment. Let me do some adult missions here.
Just lay there, be quiet."
So you can do that. But other than that, it's actually a pretty good game. I know I sound a little negative on it, but I like it. I like the fact that, you know, games are not set in the 1300s. We're talking about. I've been meaning to kind of look up, okay, how much is realistic, how much is not. I feel like a lot of it isn't. It's just, but it's kind of based around the Inquisition and the rat stuff, and it's pretty violent for what you see. You know, for a lot of stuff on there. You're like stepping over bodies, like strewn about. It's like, okay. And then you got the rat physics. That's kind of interesting. But the rat physics are a little wonky too sometimes. Like, okay, there's like 5 of them right here by my feet. They don't do anything.
It's not enough.
But other than that, look, I'm having fun with the game. It is obviously not necessarily a AAA. It's maybe like a AA title, but I like the setting, the wackiness of it. Even though Hugo, just shut it, Hugo, please. For once.
That's your only quip. He's like, Hugo, stop it.
See, I'm gonna see it through. I like the game well enough. I don't know if I'll trophy it. It seems like there's some sections that might get really frustrating for me. But it's kind of cool to think that even like the weapons system that it has, or like the slings, that you're throwing slings and you can have different potions to, it's like, oh, that electrifies enemies, or I don't know if it electrifies, but like poisons them to get their helmet off, and like the rats, this is how you throw explosions at them. So it's very nice mechanics that are introduced throughout the game that I'm enjoying, besides the little negatives that I threw in there. But
you're just like, Hugo, grow the fuck up.
Pretty much. Please, and leave me alone.
That's the whole mission. They're trying to get that to happen, dude.
Leave me alone already. But Dale, you said real quick if you want to defend it, and then we'll go into what Dalan kind of has been playing here.
Oh, like I haven't played The Last of Us Part 1, but if it's anything like Last of Us Part 2, I remember after playing that game that the animations of any other game look total bullshit. Like they look so bad compared to that game, and I was like, wow, I never knew, like, after like 30 hours of playing that one, it would have that effect on my like visualization for other games on how good their animation was. So I mean, I don't think that's a fair. I appreciate it a lot more after seeing like what what a AAA class type of animations look like in the game.
Yeah.
But no, man, like I hope you finish it.
I will.
think it's a great premise for a game.
Mhm.
The Ratnado physics are freaking crazy.
And
I mean, it
out
was
in part 2.
yeah, and it's a lot more grim. It had like a better story than I thought it was gonna have, because I didn't think it was gonna be like a survivorship kind of thing with Amicia. So
Well,
I don't know.
If anything, I'm crazy like that. My mind is broken that way. Where it's like, oh, the sequel's coming out, and I haven't played the original, so let me play the original. That's kind of why I'm playing it, right? And at the very least, I can already hope. I'm crossing my fingers, like. There's a lot of crap in here that I hope they fix for the sequel, and I'm glad, because I'm sure they got a little,
for sure.
a little bit more money, going into the sequel, and they can kind of clean some things up, right? But I hope I'm excited for the sequel at least, and I will beat this one. It's fun enough, it's entertaining enough. It's just
but yeah, please,
wackiness. Yeah.
please get through it, because
Yeah,
I don't know what chapter are you on right now. Actually,
I'm at 10, 11, maybe. I think I'm kind of maybe a couple hours from the end, maybe 2 hours from the end. Or something
okay,
like that. So
yeah,
I'm
please
pretty far
finish
into
it. Yeah.
I don't know about 2 hours, but yeah.
Dalen, what have you been playing this past week, man?
I myself have been playing. I played a couple of games because I was trying to actually I was trying to make good use of my GameFly account.
Where's our sponsorship, GameFly?
GameFly.
I don't hear anyone talking about GameFly, but Salient Points. All right. So...
Hey, did you not hear me say GameFly? GameFly. All right. So I was, playing Nier Replicant, and
Which
I know
version,
I was playing the
Dalan?
previous Nier Replicant 1.2 numbers.
I thought you were a fan.
1.2
Here, I thought you were a fan.
All right.
I thought you were a fan,
Hey.
but whatever.
Hey, I like the game, but I'm not like an uber fan that'll delve into the whole history of the Nier series.
You sure
But
you're not?
Nier Replicant is, for me, an excellent game. It still has the one issue that Nier Automata had, and that's a lot of the combo. No,
Multiple
actually, not at
playthroughs
all.
required to see the whole story?
No, that is not the case. What I was going to say, good sir, is that the combo system can get repetitive. Unfortunately, they pretty much give you all the moves right at the beginning for the most part. And it just comes down to a difference of weapons and how you're supposed to fight the enemies. So that's the only caveat to the game, is that you're using a lot of the same moves over and over again. But it's still actually a very fun game. And I mentioned it before, the side quests really blend into the game. It makes you want to do the side quests. And no, you can play the entire game and get the full-blown story. However, they do have alternate endings, good sir. Kind of like you and going back and playing. What was the name of that game? Metroid? No, not Metroid.
Don't ever bring Metroid Prime into this.
No, not
conversation.
Metroid Prime.
Into this Nier Replicant
No. It was the game that you had to go back with, Staying Human or whatever it was.
Oh,
Detroit?
yeah, but that's different. Man.
Detroit, yeah.
Choose your own adventure, right?
Okay.
Those are choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
You want to kill everyone. You want everyone to survive, and then you want to play with the homies and like, whatever happens, happens. You know. You wanna play
Yeah, well, in this case, you go and you beat the game, you get the full story, and it rolls out the way that it does. And then they allow you to go back and beat it a different time, and the story rolls out differently, as a matter of fact. But they don't have you start from the beginning. You're just going to go to like half the game.
Right.
But that second half rolls out completely different. And then you can do it a third and fourth time if you want to. But the fact is, you only have to play it once to actually get the whole story.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. What else have you been playing?
I'd rather play that.
Nier Replicant, I honestly, not having it do the credits right in the middle of it and having to find the rest of the game thereafter was a much better feel. What do you want to say?
I have a question for you, Dalan. Are you excited about the newly announced Nier Automata anime that's coming out?
Yes, I am. I'm going to watch that.
All right.
Maybe it will
that's all
finally
you needed
convince
to know.
people to go back and play these games, and they'll surge as well. You know. In
Oh,
popularity.
yeah, I references. Okay, so I
What else
also,
you been
like I said,
What else have you been playing?
I also got GameFlyed Demon Slayer. I played it, and I'm going to return it immediately.
Dalan, is that a cash grab?
It's that bad?
Is
Yeah.
that?
It is a cash grab. It
Yeah.
is a straight up cash grab.
Okay.
It's like playing the Naruto Ninja Storm games. You don't actually have a story that you're going through. They have story like cutscenes and stuff like that, and you are basically going through the anime. but I did the very first level, and I was like, I'd rather just watch the anime. It's a fighting game. You have the versus mode. Each level is just the fight. That's it.
Dan, the thing is that I kind of already knew that. Like, it says it in the description, man. Like, in the description, it says you're going through famous battles, highlights throughout the show. So you know they're gonna be BSing you, like, just on the description alone, man.
No, but I was hoping that there would be the one player like adventure mode and going through the story. But no, it's just they give you the versus mode in each piece of the story, and that's not what I want. That's
you wanted Shaolin monks, he got just regular Mortal Kombat, dude. That's what it was.
Regular Mortal Kombat.
It was nasty. So
okay, so that's going back.
Yes, that's going back, and at the same time, I got SIFU. Actually, I didn't even get a chance to play it yet. Jeremy Lowe was here. I had him play it, and he went through like the first chapter. A couple other people like Ricky and Nick came over. They both played it, and then I was like, all right, let me try it. So I tried it. I was like, everybody's playing this game, and this game is too good. I'm buying this game.
There you go. You gameflied that one.
Was definitely
you gameflied
it, and then I purchased it at the discount. So it's a lovely game.
SIFU, I think I might have platted it, Dalan. So are you really that much? I want you to see you master it to that level. I think I platted it.
Hey man, I got things on my plate. All right, I got.
You are spinning
plates,
too many dishes. Too many dishes. You're spinning too many. Okay, Dalan. What else?
All right, last thing is that I went back to actually do some more Destiny because I know some of the raids re-dropped. But I went and did what was the name of it? The Vault of Glass. Went and did it like 3 times. I'm trying to get that Vex Mytho class, but people out there talking about it takes like 70 runs to get the Vex Mytho class. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to do 70 runs. However, I did find out that we could cheese that Templar, the boss that you, Carlos, and Luis got stuck on. Yeah. I found out how to cheese him, so we could go and get that done real fast.
Dalan, you know what our favorite Destiny cheese though is? The Crota one. Unplug the LAN cable in the middle of the fight so we can cheese this boss. Somebody needs to unplug the LAN cable.
No, my favorite one was at the very beginning of that same raid where you could blow yourself up perfectly in front of a lamp and launch yourself all the way across the map.
Wow.
That's skill. That's part of the wackiness. That's part of the wackiness we wanted Luis to experience. But Dalan, the Band of Misfits, you gotta make a better Band of Misfits, man, because it's wacky. It was too out of control. People were
it's too out of control. Well, next time we could all just kill ourselves, and one person could run around with the shield, and then we'll get them done.
Be careful,
that's
man.
it.
Be careful what you're saying out here. But anyway, Destiny 2, we'll join it up right now. I gotta get back into it. I think I just paid something that I'm still waiting on you to like pay me back for, but it's neither here nor there.
One, check your bank account. 2, King's Fall came out, and I completely forgot how to do that raid. I remembered it as we were going through it, but man, it was extremely fun. People were still falling off the ships that were trying to actually go across space. It was terrible.
We gotta get Luis through one, man. But Dalan, get a good group together, man.
We can either grab a couple of randos or get some good players. That includes Dale if he actually gets into it. All right, let's go.
We'll welcome you with open arms.
Yeah.
Next thing on here, this is the zinger. We got a zinger every so often. This one is tonight. NASA will crash an uncrewed spacecraft into an asteroid on purpose. Yes, you read that correctly. And no, this is not a movie plot. The DART mission is the world's first mission to test technology for defending Earth against potential asteroid or comet hazards. This is from Senator Bill Nelson. That's just his Twitter handle here. But yeah, that's kind of interesting, right? We're blowing up asteroids now. Was that was the plot of Armageddon, right? If I'm correct here, we're gonna blow up this asteroid. I think.
I'm gonna shoot a missile at an asteroid. It didn't work.
Well, that's what we're doing in real IRL and for reals now. Lisa, what do you think about this, man? We're over here.
I mean, dude, it's the future. Let's get the Space Force all the way up into the future, man. Let's get it. Because there's some things that might be coming to Earth at some point, and we might want to make sure that we don't end up like the dinosaurs, dude. So that's good. That's good stuff. Let's keep it going.
Hey, that said, I'm actually going to bring it up. I was actually just watching a thing with, I think his name is Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was talking about how they just launched a brand new telescope into space, and it's basically now space in high def. All right. So
What about this dart mission?
The James Webb telescope.
There you go, the Webb telescope. That's the one. Hey, NASA's out here making moves. That's my point.
Okay. All right, you cool with them kind of blowing stuff up now? Like I like.
No, I'm not.
All right. Okay, even if it's gonna save the planet, Dalan, we just talked about it. It's not gonna be a crew in it, man. It's just gonna be a piece of thing, and it's the space crashing into.
Hey, man, how much do you really trust the government to save our lives?
That's a fair point. I mean, that's a salient point. Deo, what do you think, man? What do you think about this dart mission here?
It's historic, but like Dalan's saying though, like it's technology and it could be used for good or it could be used for bad. You don't know exactly where it's going to be going. It looks cool, and I'm happy that they're able to do it. My favorite take from Twitter was like this guy randomly was commenting on that video because there's like a 5-second clip of like the slideshow that where the dart capsule is about to hit the asteroid, and then so like this guy was like brap brap brap, you can't be running those colors around this solar system and it's just because like we like shooting things like in America. I'm like, damn it, dude.
I mean, it applies. It applies.
It does.
It applies.
It does.
It applies. We're
does.
definitely gonna take down the asteroids, and us at Salient Points, we're doing our part. We're doing our part, you know. I think somehow, if we can kind of blow up asteroids as well. Salient Points number 83. I'm Carlos Macias, the master of lampshades. Is that what you said, Dalan, earlier? Thank you for joining us. I guess I'll have a different name next time if Dalan decides to show up. Dalan decides to show up.
I'll be there most likely.
Now your hit rate, Dalan, is like back to like an 86%, man.
Ooh.
As far as like,
hey man, don't drop it that far. We've had too many episodes for that. We're coming up on 100, so no.
Okay, all right. I will not accept that. But Dalan, thank you for joining us this week, sir, from up in the mountains. Dalan Kirkwood, Deo Bloss, of course, with the yellow room, dude. It starts tripping me out after a while. I was looking over there at the screen, Deo, and I was like, oh shit, this is a yellow background. This is nice though.
It was never like this when I lived here. They painted it like right when my ass left. So they're like,
we've always wanted to paint it yellow around here. Now it's our chance.
What do you expect from the master of Mid-Bay?
Master Mid-Bay.
Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna go celebrate our
hey, where's the freaking gabagool?
I think that's it, man.